start our session with our first speaker. Let me tell you about our first speaker. I have never met our first speaker. I first came across our first speaker online at one of these sessions, and she then followed up with a question asking me to be part of her guidance committee for a DTM. And she had a wonderful idea for a DTM, which is in essence what we're doing today. She wanted to help new members get acquainted with Toastmasters, understand what Toastmasters was all about. A great DTM project which actually inspired me. So who is this wonderful person, and what more can I say about her? This wonderful person is Susan Macdonald. She's a Toastmaster that is passionate about sharing her experiences, and today she's going to share her experiences in club roles using pathways. Please welcome Sue Macdonald.
Thank you very much, Michael, for that warm, glowing introduction on a cold Melbourne morning, as you said. Before I get started, I just want to mention two things. First of all, I've had issues with my internet over the past week. And so if anything happens and I happen to lose connection for any reason, we do have a standby presenter, which is great. Thank you. And secondly, I'm supposed to be having a call from a Telstra technician today about fixing the problem. So if my phone rings while I'm presenting, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have to very quickly take the call because I can't bear another week without an internet connection. I'm currently using my mobile phone as a hotspot. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there's going to be no interruptions and we'll get through it without any problems. Now, I was going to ask before I begin how many new members or people who maybe are thinking about joining Toastmasters here today. And I heard Christina ask that question, and we do have quite a few people in that category. So my presentation today, I'm going to explain a bit about pathways and what it is, especially for people who are new to Toastmasters, how it came about and what the benefits of pathways is to members. Now, then I'll go on to the main part of my presentation, which is the meeting roles and how they actually contribute to your pathways journey. Where you record your meeting roles in pathways and how you record them. And then we'll talk a little bit about the different skills that you can learn and develop through the meeting roles. Now, if you've been to a few Toastmasters meetings, you'll probably be starting to realise that everything we do in Toastmasters contributes to your personal growth and development, whether it be in communication or leadership skills, or both. I mean, Toastmasters is really an integrated learning process. Everything's designed to help. In your meetings, we have round robin and table topics, which help you with your impromptu speaking and presentation skills. And then, of course, the prepared speeches, where you're guided through how to prepare and present different types of speeches. And then in every meeting there are, of course, meeting roles, and each of those meeting roles helps you with certain skill development. So let's get started. Pathways. I'm just going to share my screen with you now. Hopefully this is going to work. Okay. Pathways, what is it? Well, it's a revitalised education program for Toastmasters International. Now, Toastmasters is nearly 100 years old, and in the last few years, the Board of Directors have realised that the education program needed updating and modernising so that it was more relevant to today's communication scenarios. It's called Pathways because it brings to mind a journey, and it's your journey and you choose the path you want to go on. There are 11 paths to choose from, and there are 300 unique competencies. Now, the program was developed based on a lot of research and analysis, and there was feedback from thousands of current and past members of Toastmasters. Now, this is a live project, really. It's subject to ongoing review and development, and any improvements that come to light or need to be made along the way will be made. So in all, it's a comprehensive education program for the 21st century. What are the benefits for members? Well, it offers a great deal of flexibility. As I said, you can learn anywhere at any time with this program, and you learn at your own pace. There are no time restraints or limits on it. You can have printed materials if you choose, or you can go with the online version, but you can still download and print documents from that. You can tailor the learning to suit your individual needs and goals. It's like a mix and match learning experience. The competencies are all relevant in today's business and community environment. For example, some of the projects could include managing meetings online, making a podcast, or leading a team. Your achievements will be recognised with certificates and awards. And when you reach certain levels, you can even have a letter from Toastmasters International direct to your employer so that they can be aware of your achievements as well. Looks good on your resume. Now, there's various ways people learn, and in the education program, there's various learning methods. So there's interactive learning sessions. There are assessments. You also have resources such as project checklists to help you make sure you cover all the steps in your project, and worksheets to prepare for each stage of the project. And last but not least, value for money. Where else can you get all of these learning materials at your fingertips and at your disposal 24/7 for less than a couple of $100 a year? You know, you'll pay hundreds, maybe sometimes thousands of dollars for a day or two course in some of these areas. And what happens? You learn, it's fantastic for 2 days, and you go away and it's all forgotten after a week or two. With Toastmasters, you've got the materials at your hands all the time. You're constantly practicing and receiving feedback in your club meetings. True value for money, I'd say. Now, the next bit is talking about the projects that are included in meeting roles. So in level 1 of all pathways, there is a project called Evaluation and Feedback. Now, this project requires you to serve as a speech evaluator in a meeting, and then in turn, you as that speech evaluator receive an evaluation, which then contributes to the achievement of your level 1 in pathways. Quite straightforward. In levels 2 and 3, now there's another project called Active Listening. And active listening requires you to serve as a table topics master at a club meeting. Now, in 3 pathways, level 2 is a compulsory project. And those 3 paths are motivational strategies, persuasive influence, and team collaboration. Now, in all the other 8 paths, active listening is an elective project in level 3. So you have your evaluation and feedback in level 1, active listening in levels 2 and 3. And then in all paths, in level 3, you have to complete the role of Toastmaster, speech evaluator, and topics master. So once you've recorded those roles in pathways, that enables you to achieve your level 3. Now, where do you record your meeting roles? So when you log into the Toastmasters International website, you click on the Pathways tab at the top of the screen and then go to Basecamp. Now when you go to Basecamp, this screen appears. And up in the top right-hand corner, where I've circled in yellow, there's a little cog. So if you hover your mouse over that cog, there's a drop-down that comes up with My Account. And you click on My Account. And then this screen appears. Now at the top of the screen, you have a time zone. So you just select the time zone you're in. So you would scroll down to its UTC +10, Melbourne, Sydney, Canberra, and click that one. The signature in the next box has a series of different fonts for your name, so you can pick the one that you like the best. And then there is the list of meeting roles that you can perform in the club meetings. So you just select the date that you completed that role. And then down at the bottom of the screen, there's a save button. So you just select your dates and enter your dates and save. And that's it, easy as that. You have recorded your meeting roles in Pathways. Now, does anyone have any questions at this point?
Yep. So I have a question.
Yes.
Do these roles need to be verified or evaluated by anybody?
I don't believe so, not for the particular purpose of completing level 3. That's correct, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, you don't need to have them evaluated, but in the meeting they will be evaluated by the general evaluator.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you. Susan,
I think one exception to the active listening one, that table topic master role, I recently completed and it requires an evaluation, but a silent evaluation. But there's a form available in the system to be filled in.
Yeah, if it's part of a project, it still needs to be evaluated for that project. But a verbal evaluation is optional as long as you get the paper or the form filled out.
Michael, I wanted to ask a question. I've just recently signed on to Pathways, so I'm going through the literature that's on the website. I've been a member of Toastmasters since I think August or September last year, and I've given a few speeches now. A lot of the information is recorded on my the Speaking Easy email address. Can I record that information against my name under Navigator, or do I have to only record when I start being evaluated under the pathway system? Does that make sense? Or?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Rather than take that on here, we take that in the question and answers, because there is an answer for that, but I don't think that's relevant to this.
Okay.
So I'll take that on board. And make sure you ask it during the Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
Can I ask a question, Susan? Michael?
Ask it of Susan.
Can I just, I'll finish the presentation and then see what time we have at the end. And then we can ask the questions at the end. I'll just make sure I don't go over time, people. I just wondered whether anyone had any questions on those recording bits then. All right, thank you.
Well, I do about those particular bits, but I can come back to it at the end, I guess.
All right, that would be great. Just
All
make
right.
a note and we'll answer them at the end. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to now talk briefly about the skills and competencies that you will be learning with the various meeting roles. So as an R counter, it may not seem much to do, but actually when you're listening to people speaking and listening out for all those ums and ahs and filler words, it's actually it's quite a lot of work. And you have to be able to observe people, see what they're saying, and record those filler words. There could be a so or a like or an and or repetition. So you're really having to listen hard. And then, of course, you've got to present your report at the end of the meeting too. As a grammarian, this will help with vocabulary because you have to come up with a word of the day. And usually it's a word that's a little more unusual that people don't generally use all the time. So you need to be able to define the word, explain its meaning and how to use it in a sentence. And the role of the grammarian is also to listen out for people's grammar, whether they say things correctly or not, or listen out for words that are used well or particularly colourful language. I mean, in a nice way, colourful language, and descriptive language and terms, and highlight those. So once again, strong for developing listening skills and evaluating what people are saying and then delivering the feedback at the end of the meeting. For the timer, yes, again, practicing time management skills. You're responsible for operating the timing lights and indicating to speakers at the various stages of their speech when they've reached their minimum time, when they need to start thinking about wrapping up, and when they've reached their time. So you have to be on the ball and alert and operating those timing lights, and then commenting on the overall timing of the meeting at the end of the meeting. General evaluator. Now, Michael mentioned this role just before. The general evaluator is actually supposed to evaluate the whole of the meeting and comment on what went well, what could be improved, and also the general evaluator evaluates the other roles that haven't been evaluated already in the meeting. So the general evaluator will comment on the speech evaluators and table topics evaluators and the various meeting roles, how they were performed and any opportunities for improvement. So as a general evaluator, you need good organisation skills to organise your thoughts into a coherent report at the end. You need to keep on time for your actual delivery of your comments, but also provide those comments in a motivational and encouraging way for the club, as with the speech evaluations, so that you're building on strengths and just pointing out a few areas for improvement, but in such a way that people can take on board that feedback and put it into action. And then we have the speech evaluator that we've mentioned before. Again, active listening is a really important skill to develop, and analyse what the person's saying, look for your areas of strength or the speaker's areas of strength and areas for improvement, and then find a positive way of delivering that feedback so as to encourage the speaker. Toastmaster of the evening. This is another big role. As Toastmaster, you need to be organised and prepared for the meeting, knowing the flow of the agenda, maybe filling meeting roles that haven't been filled before the meeting if you can, It's about time management because the meeting needs to be kept on track and on time. It's your role as Toastmaster to have a few anecdotes or facts to fill in parts of the meeting during handover times, so you don't want the dead air, but you also have to be careful not to talk too much and drag the meeting over time. So you're also practicing your public speaking skills as well. And finally, there's the Topics Master. This is a bit of fun because you can get to choose your table topics questions, and you can choose the victims, if you like, as to who's going to have to speak. Usually you try and pick speakers who have not already got a large role during the evening, so you probably wouldn't select someone who's already doing a prepared speech to do a table topic as well, just so other people have an advantage to speak during the meeting. So for Topics Master, again, organisational and time management skills. You've got to be careful with your questions. They're not too lengthy and so they're easy to understand, so you don't have to take too much time explaining them. And again, so everything can be kept on time. And then you're introducing each table topic speaker and facilitating the whole of the table topics session. So there you have it, lots of different roles, each one designed to develop different skill sets. I'll stop sharing my screen. So I would encourage everybody to participate in meetings as fully as possible. Take on a role whenever you can. There's always volunteers needed for roles in meetings. And every time you do complete one of those roles, you'll be enhancing your skills in a different area. Now, just before I finish, there are a couple of other roles, not necessarily meeting roles, that are required in Pathways. Now, there are two projects. One is leading in volunteer organisations, which comes under the dynamic leadership path. And there's another one, lead in any situation, which is a project under dynamic leadership and team collaboration. Now, those two paths require a Toastmaster to be in a leadership role for 6 months. And any leadership role in Toastmasters would fulfill that requirement. So if you're on a club executive committee, that would fulfill that requirement, or I suppose you could do any other leadership role within Toastmasters at an area or district level. So there are plenty of opportunities that you can use to develop your skills and fulfill those requirements to contribute to your Pathways journey. So I wish you all the best with your Pathways projects and your skills development. And there's always help at hand if you need it, either with members within the club, with your mentor, the Pathways team, or the wider Toastmasters community. And of course, the wonderful Pathways YouTube channel with all the recorded sessions on them. So with that, I'm not sure where I'm standing for timing. Do we have any time for questions now left?
Yes, we have plenty of time for questions.
Good. Okay.
So, Terry, do you want to ask your question again, please? Oh, you're on mute, Terry.
Okay. My question is this. I joined Toastmasters as a spectator, you could say. And then I became a member, I think either August or September last year. And I've given, I think, 3 or 4 speeches along the way, but not being involved in Pathways. I've received assessments on my speeches. I've been a grammarian. I've been a table topics master so far. So I've just recently joined Pathways through one of our East Ivanhoe branch members, who's on the executive, and I think he's going to act as my mentor as well. Now, I just wanted to, I've chosen my pathway, my initial one. All the stuff that I've done in the past, like speeches and whatever, can I add those to my pathway, or do I have to wait till I give my icebreaker speech in pathways? Is that correct, or am I wrong, or what?
No, you can add them if you wish to. You don't have to, but you can. If you've got them in a format that can be saved electronically, you can add them to your pathways area. I've forgotten what the name of it is, but basically saving your notes and things like that in pathways, it's effectively using the pathways cloud. And the cloud, to make it simple, is just someone else's computer. So you're storing it. It's not stored on your computer. It's stored somewhere else.
Right.
And that means it's available to you through any method. If you log into someone else's computer, you can get to the cloud.
Okay.
So you can see those reviews. It's not required that you save things in pathways, though, but it's a nice centralized point to review and assist yourself when you're looking at where do I need to improve, or how have I improved.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael.
Okay, now there was somebody else who had a question as well.
Yeah. Hi, Susan. I think you. Is that okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, Annie?
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. So I'm a VPE, but clearly I have a lot to learn. So in that where you were talking about the My Account and the little settings bar, and you record your meeting roles, that looks, I've just been having a look, and that looks as though that's generically that you do it once and it's on all your paths. But you'd said that it was a necessity for level 3. And I previously hadn't been aware of that, but it looks as though it's just, if you've done it once, it would cover any level 3. And is there any sort of, I guess, thought in the future that it might be more integrated in the way people record that? Because if it was news to some VPEs, I imagine a lot of club members wouldn't be aware that it was there either.
It is a glitch in the system in that you only have to do it once for your first path. I think there is the expectation, if you're on your second, third, fourth, or in my case, 6th path, you would have done those roles at some time.
Okay, so it's just
but it is a requirement on your, before completing level 3 in pathways, that you've undertaken those roles. It does not state whether those roles need to be included or not included somewhere else.
And does it prompt you to do that, or does it, or it's just you just noted to do it?
I cannot remember. It's a long time since I started I've completed my first, or almost completed my 3rd path. So I can't remember if it prompted me or if I couldn't move on, because the initial part of pathways, it was a very clunky. They've improved it very much. So I would just go in there and mark them if you've done them.
Yeah, I'm just aware there's a couple of other hands up, but I do have one other really quick question, and then
we've got plenty of time.
Annie, to answer your questions, it will not prompt you, but however, you will not be able to submit level approval for that path if you don't have those dates in your pathways. So it will not let you progress or complete or mark that level to complete. You will not be able to submit it.
But would people know why they can't submit it if it doesn't prompt you?
People will know. So unless the VPE knows that, oops, you're in level 3, before you submit level 3 completion, you need to enter the dates that you completed those roles in your Basecamp profile. So there's 2 profiles. So you have the Toastmaster profile and you have the Basecamp profile. So you need to enter those dates in your Basecamp profile. Then you can submit level 3 completion.
Okay, well, that's probably why it's good that VPEs are here, so they know that for the club members. Thank you. I'm learning.
The other question that I had, like you mentioned the evaluation in level 3.
Yes.
sorry, table topics master in level in the active listening and
Yes.
speech evaluator in evaluation and feedback.
Yes.
For those separate roles, they had to be evaluated as well, though, within the club, didn't they?
They do, yes.
So do you need to submit the evaluation of your role?
You don't need to submit any evaluations. It's assumed when the base camp manager signs off all that you've completed that project, that they are aware that you've been evaluated throughout the thing, because they only sign off at level completion, not at project completion.
Right, so you're basically only entering your speech evaluator role once, then in that, recording that in your Pathways account.
Rebecca's got a hand up and Raj following that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Susan. For this, just a quick one with regards to the meeting roles, grammarian, general evaluator. Is there anywhere in the Pathways where it keeps a repository of the meeting roles?
Where, what, sorry?
Report, like the history of all the meeting roles?
No, not in Pathways.
Right.
In your meeting management tool, whether it's Easy Speak or Free Toast host, or whatever it is, they will record it, but not in Pathways.
Okay.
Rebecca.
Thank you.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Susan. Great to meet you. Great to be here. So my question is actually to sort of build on Terry's question. So if your roles within the meeting functions are tracked for things like level 3 to ensure that they're completed, who is and how is the other steps within your chosen pathway tracked? Is this something you just keep track of yourself? No one else is really paying attention. You're just, like, for example, I've already undertaken my icebreaker. Do I have to enter that in anywhere? Or is it just taken as a general that I will self-manage with this regard?
Well, you self-manage up to a certain point because you're recording, as you go through each level of your pathway, you're recording that in Pathways in Basecamp.
Oh, there's the answer to my question. So where would one record that? So I've done my icebreaker, but I did no recording whatsoever because I was not aware of recording locations or how to get that done. So how would I do that?
Right. So when you're in Pathways and you go to Basecamp and you launch your path and you in your project, you're actually, you would have you seen this pre-assessment before you actually do your icebreaker speech? Have you completed that, the self-evaluation?
I started going through a whole bunch of stuff where they're all like, oh, and here's the PDF where you can help to prepare your icebreaker, and here is more information, and here are videos of other people talking about their icebreakers. So I went through all of that, but I didn't find a spot where it's like tick a box to say that you've done this or submit something to say that you've done this. Is there such a thing?
Well, I think as you go through each level, when you each project rather, once you've finished all the projects in a level, then you would submit your level 1, for example, and then the Basecamp manager would take over. And I think that might be explained that are coming up. Is that right, Christina?
Yeah.
Yes, I'll be discussing that one, Rebecca, but to quickly answer your question, as you finish a project, in that case, you finish your icebreaker project, you will go back to Basecamp, answer your self-assessment after, and then when you finish that, when you click submit and close that window, when you go back to your pathways, you will see that your icebreaker, it becomes green tick. And it will have a status of completed. Yay, I finished that project. Then you can move on to the next project. So that's part of my presentation in session 3.
No. So once you've completed that self-assessment, that's what ticks it off.
It will give you that green check. Well done, congratulations.
Thank you so much. That was my question.
Thank you. Thanks.
We've just gone red, but we've got 2 quick questions from Hafiz. First up, your question. You're on mute. Hafiz, you're on mute.
Thank you taking my questions. There is two questions. The first question is, I finished level 1 and 2 with one presentation each. Am I correct?
No.
No.
Level 1 has 4 presentations, 4 speeches, because you have 2 speeches in your. Yes, I know we've gone red. We've got 2 speeches in your evaluation and feedback. You've got 1 speech in your icebreaker, and you've got 1 speech in your presentation and research projects. So there are 3 projects, 4 speeches in your level 1.
Okay, so I done many, but I got and the level 2. How many is there?
Level 2. It's depending on what your requirements are. All level 2 is mandatory, but active listening does not have a speech per se.
And Hafiz, just to add to that one, and for everyone's information, each project has a project checklist.
Okay.
Make sure when you do your project, go through your Basecamp, launch the project, and you will see there's a link there that says project checklist. Open that project checklist, and it will clearly define the steps you need to complete the project. So I know a lot of people get confused in level 1, what's that? The
Evaluation feedback.
Evaluation and feedback project. It's because, so I need to do two speeches, then 1 evaluation. In project checklist, it clearly defines what are these steps. First, you need to present a speech. Second, you need to present another speech, incorporating the feedback from the first speech. And then finally, you need to do an evaluation, which needs to be evaluated by another Toastmaster. So those are 3 steps that you need to do to complete that project. So every project has its own each project checklist.
Okay, we've run out of time. So we're moving on. Save your questions for the question and answer session. So I'm sorry, Mirren Adams. I'm sorry.